was just thinking.
We don't want to go into too much order and spoil it all for you guys. So
I think it's too late for that. So
well, spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert! 42 minutes into the video, I'm gonna have to find some way to edit this in at the beginning. Good luck, future me again. I guess we're gonna be doing a spoiler alert after all of this. Post spoiler alert. Okay.
It's the new thing. All the cool kids will be doing it.
Start already.
All right.
Start this. So, what's up, guys? GGBHTG here, and
No1c00l. What's up?
And we just got back from, well, not necessarily back because we're right outside the movie theater still, but we just got finished watching Brony doc. What was it called again?
A Brony tale. That's what it's called. Yeah, but pretty much everybody I've said is just, it's the Brony documentary, part 2.
The revenge, the Brony. Sure, why not? They may say that, but it's not actually, it doesn't have anything to do with the previous documentary that was by John Delancey, and I didn't actually see that one, so I'm just gonna judge this on my own merits. So how will we do this? Just go.
If you want to go first, or
yeah. I think we'll just see how much we actually could absorb from that, because there was a lot to absorb, I would say, and see how much we actually remember. So let's see. It started with Ashleigh riding her bike. Not the start we were expecting. She was biking on her way to a voice acting gig. Supposedly, anyway. Honestly, I think the entire thing was just for camera's sake, because supposedly she was recording lines from the first episode of the show. And how does that work? How is that possible? She didn't remember certain lines from the show. Oh, wait, now I think about it, that was 20% cooler. What episode is that from again?
That was Suited for Success, where Rarity's making all the dresses. That's where that's from.
How could I not remember my favorite Rady episode? Maybe it's just because I'm working on my least favorite Rady episode right now.
Oh dear. And that is sort of why I never made a reaction to it. Because I had nothing good to say about it.
Ashleigh went over a few of her voice roles, and luckily that didn't go on for too long. She just gave 3 examples and then went on to My Little Pony. They really stopped it at just the right point to get the point across, because I was thinking like, this is going on too long. Are we gonna get to the actual point? Oh, here we go. Perfect. Perfect. So Brent, Hodge does know what he's doing. I believe next came up was Dusty Cat.
Huh? Yeah, manliest Brony.
Yep. The manliest Brony in the world. Stay Brony, my friends. Spoiler for you, I actually have a bit of a Stay Brony, my friends thing in Pinky Apple Pie at the end of that.
Nice.
It's a secret.
You will see.
Soon. In like 1-2 months. But yeah, so Dusty Cat was next. I'm surprised that they actually start out with him. I guess they wanted to raise the bar high, get people really engrossed with it, because he really is, I would say, a good symbol for who you can look to. If you're one to call yourself a Brony, it means a lot to you, and you have people that look down on you for something like that. He's someone that you can look to for advice and to reinforce the fact that you can like the show and you can like other things, you can do other things. He reinforces the fact that variety is important, and that's something that I really like about him.
He just introduced himself by his name, and then he just went on to say he welds, he rides motorcycles, he was a security guard for somebody, I can't remember what.
I believe it was for some conventions that he used to go to when he was younger, some conventions and everything, stuff like that. I'm sure you can find out on the show. Stay Brony, my friends, at 8 p.m. Eastern, I believe it is. I have no problem shilling for him, so... We'll just go with the next person we can actually remember, which was Mike Bernstein from Everfree. See, I'm calling it Everfree Radio because the problem was he was saying Everfree Radio, so it's clearly before the time when they switched over names to Everfree Network. So that definitely dates the video quite a bit. I mean, having Ashleigh Ball talk about season 1 aspects of the show, there wasn't a lot of season 2 or onwards footage at all. So you can really tell that, frankly, this was in production way before season 2, John Delancey's documentary, and just like that. So anyway, back to Mike. He pretty much explained the origin of the word Brony. Where did the fandom as a whole actually start from? He went on to mention 4chan, and I wonder how well that's gonna go over.
Oh boy.
So who knows?
Well, in the first documentary with John Delancey, during one of the cartoon numbers, he does mention clopping. So I think either way.
Well, luckily this one does not go that far, so...
No, but I'm sure if anybody's curious, 4chan,
Oh
dear.
So...
What you gonna do?
If you're explaining, you just gotta keep an open mind about it. Well, I actually noticed in this entire movie that, frankly, Ashleigh Ball wasn't a lot of the major focus of it. She was mostly in there to remind you that this was supposed to be the focus of the movie. I guess it's more of just a matter of pacing. They didn't want it to be all about Ashleigh Ball's experience. They wanted to have a good balance of explaining the phenomenon and reinforcing the fact that, hey, it's not really a big deal to be a Brony. And that reminds me of someone that we forgot, the psychologists.
Oh yeah.
They actually...
Yeah, them. They were in the John Delancey documentary too, but I didn't know they were, at least from what I remember in the video, they were a married couple.
Oh, yeah.
And in the other one, they had recorded them separately doing that, so I never knew that until now.
Yeah, if I remember, actually, they were at the same BronyCon that they were focusing on, and they had a panel. I watched someone's panel on just the psychology of a Brony and the statistics of who's a Brony, who's not, male or female and all that. And that's pretty much what they also said in their segment of the video until later, which we'll come back to. They went on to talk about military Bronies.
They just went to Brian and he went on to his ordeal of how he joined the military but then got shipped to Iraq and then came back all...
PTSD, one would say.
Yeah. And it's kind of sad because that was something John Delancey did. He was in going off on a tangent again, he was in a radio show. He was talking to a military Brony, and why he likes the show is just because of how it's for kids, it's innocent and stuff, and coming back from Iraq where his job was to be on the monitors that were watching people inside their homes, just families with their kids and everything, and eventually if anything goes wrong, he has to call out, move in, and take them out and something, and it was like, oh, wow, yeah. And something like that, I just wish that was mentioned in the John Delancey documentary, because every now and then it's like, I don't know how to say this, but, it's
what comes to mind to me is just that it definitely is one way for one to cope. Just, frankly, it's not a bad thing. And this may or may not be too tough of a subject for us to focus on here, because I'm sure if we tried to aptly explain it, we'd be going on for a 10-minute tangent, so unfortunately we'll just have to move on from there.
Right. Moving back.
So, and now for something completely different. Ponies.
Ponies.
I believe next was now actually Saber Spark.
Yeah.
And he wanted to mention how he's a sociologist, and he wanted to explain how from birth it already starts to where we're assigned our gender roles. The example I used that from when you're born, you are given either the pink cap or the blue cap, and from there, from the rest of life, it goes on to just how boys are supposed to like certain things and girls are supposed to like certain things, and just how this goes against the norm. He was actually in the Torah, and he was explaining how weird it would be for someone that doesn't know about My Little Pony and just how big the fandom is, to see this older guy trying to buy such and such My Little Pony toy, and they'll automatically think that that's the worst case scenario that they might could come up with, like a pedophile or something like that. And to the fan, it's not really a big deal. And I just realized I'm probably explaining something that you guys already know. So, but yeah, a lot of the video. video. A lot of the movie is to explain to people that aren't in the know, reinforcing the fact that it's not a big deal to people that may not necessarily think that. And this actually reminds me of that big, after Ashleigh Ball's first part in the video, I think right after it was when they did the standard news shock reel of just sequence after sequence of, oh my god, Bronies, they're the devil. It's the end of the world. Bronies are down with the devil. And just, wow. That was
CNN.
Fox News. Genius.
Was
that technically a random tangent? Because it felt like one.
Yeah, like there are moments in the video where it's like all nice and it's like, oh, nice cinematography, nice and calming, and then there would just be weird parts that would just like overshock and things that were
cringeworthy, one would say.
Cringeworthy.
But luckily it was few and far between. I mean, there was that one bit with the shock reel montage, and really I can't think of any other ones.
The whole bit where they were talking about before the times of ponies with the internet, like it was showing the monitor and it was like all those cartoons.
Yeah, that was all once. I was counting all of that as one sequence.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry, but I mean that part really just made me go, what the hell am I watching?
Like, who spiked my Gatorade? Spiked. Anyway. So luckily that one shock montage was all there was. The rest of it was just explaining different points of view of a fan of the show. A lot of these bits that we're talking about, they came back up at other points of the video, like after some of Ashleigh Ball's segments. And actually I think we skipped over one of them. Most of Ashleigh Ball's segments were her first deciding whether or not to go, and then showing her on her way, traveling to get there, and just the thoughts of one that has never really been to a convention, and especially not as a guest for this sort of thing. And frankly, I think we've all been there, just going to conventions. We can kind of relate to that because we want to go see these guests and voice actors and people that we idolize, and it's kind of nerve-wracking.
Those other fans are out there that are either more crazy, I wouldn't say crazy, I guess. I would just say that
I would.
There are more ambitious fans, and then there are ones that are more laid back, and when you try to go and meet a star or somebody, all of a sudden that fan will come in and sort of just drain all the fun out of it, because they'll have the questions, they'll be the ones that'll say, sign this, take a picture, and for people that aren't as aggressive or as know how to work around that, it can sort of help.
Yeah, and it's the same for both sides, because there are fans who are like that, and there are, frankly, voice actors who can be on one side or the other. They're strong. Before I get executed, I don't actually have a problem with Tara. So, I'm just saying she is definitely the most involved.
Involved. We'll just leave it at that.
I wasn't, but let's not dig my grave further. Anyway, there was a share of bits with just everyday fans of the show explaining their experiences with finding the show and what they do. You go to Me Up, you go and hang out with other people that like the show. They went on to talk about high school and college students who also rally together and build friendships and so on. It's all around the show. That's another thing I don't think I really have to explain, because you're probably actually a fan of the show watching this. So if you need me to explain, I guess I'll write in the comments below what you think about the show. Like, comment, and subscribe. Let's just get to Man Pony. He was the first musician. There were others, by the way. He wanted to explain, I believe, how the show inspired him to make music. How he was really disappointed about how just people will just rag on you and get in your case about liking a cartoon of all things. And he explained that he actually made a song in response to that. And it's just one of his ways of giving encouragement through songs. Something that I do actually know is what he likes to do. And his segment was a bit shorter than the rest, but he popped up again every now and then. I think the next part was that they touched upon the Bronies for Good charity and just how they're Bronies for Good. That may actually have been the gist of it. So, yeah. If you need to know more about Brony for Good, go to broniesforgood.org. That's probably not the actual website. I'm sure we're gonna forget someone in the video, so we just apologize for that.
I apologize greatly. So
much dishonor on our families. We will all commit Sudoku.
Yes.
We'll just get to the next person we can actually think of, which was Silverhound. His point of view was of one that has grown up in, I guess you could simplify it as a tougher neighborhood, or grown up in Atlanta, Georgia, and frankly here we are in Detroit, Michigan, so I can kind of relate. It's not iffy for him whether or not he's a Brony. It's like, this is what he does. This is what he cares about. He makes music. He's proud of that. He also mentioned about going to college and how he was able to actually make a bit of money from his music to help him with college, which I'm sure college debts and tuitions and loans we can all relate to. We all have the debt trouble, so I'm happy for him.
And as somebody that has experienced that segment in the concert, it was...
yeah, he was actually in the video. Like, you gotta, that's a freeze frame when the video comes out on DVD, which this will be at some point. I don't believe they will have the dates so soon, but Brent Hodge has a mailing list for news on the movie, so you can just, I can't actually make up a fake name or anything for that, so I'll just put it somewhere up here, and we'll be able to, you'll get linked to it. Silverhound, he's a pretty cool guy. He makes pony music and doesn't afraid of anything. Honestly, I can't say I follow too much pony music myself, but I just have other focuses. So yeah.
I remember Ashleigh going to camp before she left, like she was camping with some friends, and then I think that's when they spliced in Silverhound and everybody else a little bit, and then she went to Manhattan.
Yeah, the camping bit.
Manhattan. I actually just said Manhattan.
I didn't even hear it. Oh, God.
Oh, no.
Oh, no, it's starting. It's the infection.
You knew this would happen, Lauren Faust.
Oh, God. Bronies are changing the entire world for the worse. ID tag ponies in ID tag battlefields. God. The movie was about an hour and a half. It felt a lot longer, but not in a bad way. It really was, to me, enjoyable to watch, but that's probably getting into the closing bit, so I'll save that for a second. So, the video actually wrapped up with just... Video. I'm so
used to it.
I'm just so expecting that this would have gotten leaked online or something like that I just can't help but think video. I managed to be thinking that for a reason as far as calling it video, because it didn't feel like a too serious subject. And now that's getting into the wrapping up part, but I don't want to get to that just yet. They mentioned again with the two Brony psychologists and their son, who I believe was actually how they got involved with the show, because their son is an artist, and I believe it was the same situation as Brian, where he hadn't actually drawn for a long time. He was in the slump with drawing himself, and the show helped him bounce back. They also focused on one or two families of Bronies.
That, you know, there's nothing wrong with being a Brony, and even if you find something wrong with it, you can either rant and carry on with it, or you can just go ahead and just say, okay, there are people like this, and what they're doing is not hurting anybody, so...
Yeah, and just mention again about the fact that, hey, if you're enjoying the show, there's nothing wrong with that. And you're still going on with your life, doing what you need to do, and so on. This is just another of the many factors in your life. So, just, again, it's not a big deal. It pretty much ended with Ashleigh finally making it to BronyCon, and they showed a few key scenes that we all actually remember from the voice actor panel. Like, of course, they had to show the infamous, "Forget you, I can eat all those apples."
Forget you, I can eat all these apples.
Which I'm sure a lot of people would want to know where that's from, and when they try to go looking for it, oh dear.
So
Bronies are terrifying.
some people are going to be disappointed that they didn't have the "You are a champion, my friend" line that someone yelled right after. I know that line got a bit of traction for a while afterwards, so you'll be a bit disappointed if you remember. I think I'm going to be surprised of people who actually remember that. Just being a fan of the show and keeping up with all the stuff that's going on, even though I may not call myself a Brony, digging that grave a bit deeper. But yeah, just following along with this show since like Sonic Random aired, like just seeing how it's evolved, stronger than a minute before. From back then, I guess the word to say would be surreal. I just remember from that voice actor panel just like how nervous Andrew Lidman, Ashleigh Ball, and Nicole Oliver, they were all at this particular one of the first panels for voice actors, and just how nervous they looked, and who could blame them? What we didn't actually mention before was how Brian, the mentor Brony that they were focusing on, how he bounced back from his own artistic slump after coming back from Iraq. Just how he had made this Celestia drawing and how he wanted to give it to Nicole at BronyCon. And they did show a bit of footage of him actually being able to give it, and she came around and gave him a hug. I'm sure it was a big moment for him, so I'm happy for him, and I'm glad he was able to achieve that. And even though I just said I wouldn't really call myself a Brony, I am a follower of all the stuff that's going on. I would like to go to BronyCon at some point if possible. Maybe if this channel gets big enough. Like, comment, and subscribe! Like, comment, and subscribe. But, yeah. So at the end, she enjoyed it. I don't think she's actually been to another panel. Well, she has. It's just been so few and far in between because she has her band Ocean to think about. And speaking of which, that reminds me of something we didn't talk about. They did have a little bit of focus on her band and just how her fellow band members don't really give two scraps about her. They're kind of competing with her other fan base to actually, I guess just to have focus is all I can think of to say. But I don't mean to get too negative about that. I'm just trying to find the words to say. Basically, they're cool with it, and that's all there is to it.
That one guy, when they talked to him about it, he just straight up said, at least from what I remember, it sounded like he just straight up said, I don't like when fans come up to me and ask if I watch the show. I don't. He just, something like that. But
yeah. The problem is that they're focusing on their band, and all this My Little Pony stuff is just extra to them because they're not working on the show or anything. This is just a byproduct for them. But the thing is that they're getting a lot more fans from Ashleigh Ball's work, and I'm sure it kind of gets grating to have to deal with all the My Little Pony questions for someone that doesn't actually have any involvement with it. They're only involved by relation, so I can relate. I still have a feeling we're forgetting something, but I think we've covered enough. Did we mention Jack's Blade?
Oh, no, we didn't.
Yeah, I was saving Jack's Blade for later.
You ain't a man unless you're watching My Little Pony, son.
But yeah, I guess we'll just go on and wrap this up and just go into our thoughts on it.
From what I've heard, when I heard this was originally coming out, I was just like, oh, another one? We already have the John Delancey documentary, and I thought that one was decent enough.
A common thought.
But then after I heard it was aired at Tribeca and it got so many positive reviews and it was going to go out nationally, it just sort of made me go, well, I should check it out then if it's getting all this praise and love. And I'm actually really glad that I did, because it just allows you to see two sides of the same story, because both of them deal with people reacting to the fandom and seeing how they approach it.
Hey, we said reacting in the reaction channel. Haha.
Hey. And these both have their problems and things like that, but with the other one, I feel it focuses on too many different people at the same time, trying to make it feel like one cohesive story. This one, I think the problem was just some editing nitpicks that
yeah, we're both video editors, so there are, like, as soon as the first bit of Ashleigh Ball, I noticed that the music that they have playing in the background, it really seemed like they were trying to time it to work with the footage that they were showing, like one part of the song and then a beat and then they cut to another part. It seemed like they were trying to have it match the song, but it didn't. So to me, I'm just looking at it as like, I could have done that in Sony Vegas in like 2 minutes. Just minor nitpicks from us also in the know about that type of thing. And luckily this Luckily, this movie didn't have a lot of nitpicks, I would say. I found it overall pretty good. Other than, why when I say cons, that is what I'm reminded of Equestria Daily. God. And that's another foot in the grave. I could edit this out, but no. Since I remembered it, they did mention Equestria Daily. And I believe Fee is how you pronounce it. Phoe. One of the mods, if I recall, that was her name, because from what I remember, they didn't actually show her name or anything, but I just know her voice, so unless that Gatorade made me go insane, then I got it right. So she was there to explain about how the site came to be, and just how quickly it grew, and just how quickly the fandom itself grew. They had a quick mention just how society usually has a big movement in response to, frankly, a big war. Those were the examples they used. They mentioned World War I and Vietnam and Korean War. How in response to that war, I believe they said beatniks and hippies and just movements of people that are, frankly, more accepting and
are sort of a little bit coping with, or at least trying to make, because the way how, at least with the Vietnam War was going on, they had the hippies going around trying to say, bring our troops back, and we're...
Like, just, frankly, people who want to try and get away from that seriousness, just feeling that it's not really anything you have to have going on. Like, just, I guess, really reinforcing peace and love. Which is a trait of this fandom, so I don't think I've dug another foot in the grave. I'm pretty far down in there, but... So, before I destroy myself, let's just go on with the wrap-up, which was, you were still on.
Yeah, the negatives, I mean, at least with this one, the font styles, I thought, when they were introducing people, showing where they were going and stuff, I thought it made it all feel consistent, and comparing it to John's, I think what it had and didn't have, and what this one had, I think they both sort of complement each other well. At least for me, because I always thought, well, we're focusing on John, Tara, and Lauren, what they thought of, but it's like, well, what about Ashleigh, Andrea, and we sort of get a little bit of that in here. I think these documentaries just, again, showing two perspectives of this fandom, I thought it was very good. So, that's pretty much my 2 cents on it. And plus, it got me all the way out here to say hi.
Ah. Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you, too.
This is not good! Worlds are colliding!
Like, this is actually the first time we met, and I mean, we talk on Skype. Wow, it's kind of this is the first time we've actually even met in person. We usually talk on Skype, so I mean, not even usually talk on Skype because
I rarely do that. I just, yeah.
And I don't blame you. Yeah. I mean, what can you do? Busy. But yeah, let's just get back to the point. So yeah, my thoughts on I didn't say it this time. I didn't. No, I didn't say
movie.
The movie.
On this moody.
My thoughts on the movie. As someone that didn't see the first documentary, I can only judge this on its own merits. But I did follow a bit of the first documentary, John DeLance's documentary, and from just how he talked about it and his own passionate view of this entire phenomenon, it made me think that his documentary was most likely going to be a bit too serious for the common person to view, one that doesn't know about Bronies and all of this stuff that's going on. Luckily, that was not a problem with this movie. During No1c00l's summarization, I had a bit to say there, and I pretty much agree with what he said, so I'll just add on to saying that I think that this documentary hit the point home. This movie will definitely be one that a non-fan and a fan of Friendship is Magic can enjoy, and if need be, use to explain to those not in the know that being a Brony isn't as big of a deal as you might think. And just that, frankly, we all had the same thought before we became fans, which was something that Mike Berenstein had focused on a bit too. Just throwing it out there. If you feel the need to watch this documentary, then you won't be disappointed. But if you're one that already knows all about what's going on, you don't need to watch it, but you won't be disappointed if you do. So, I think that's a good point to stop.
Alrighty.
We've already gone on for 54 minutes.
All right.
Perfect. That's gonna be a 9-minute edit. Nah, not really. I've had worse.
Oh dear.
I still have like 6 videos for the next Reactions of Magic to watch through. And reminder, they're from that episode I really don't like. So don't be surprised if I use this as the Saturday video rather than the actual reaction. I'm gonna have to take another mulligan on that one. But, so, yeah, since now you can barely see my face, I think we've talked long enough.
Right.
So, this is GG Bitch TG, and
No1c00l.
signing off from out of nowhere with our thoughts on a Brony tale. So, I hope you enjoyed the video. Like, comment, and subscribe. No, not really. You don't have to. But, yeah. We're gonna shut up now, and I'm just gonna... Goodbye. And they showed us they showed us
Because they kept sprinkling it in with like what Ashleigh was doing, prepping for BronyCon, and
yeah. So since we haven't actually talked about that in a while, there's gonna be editing in this video, all right? I could look on my phone because I took some pictures. I would do that, but I can't grab my phone or the recording will die. So we'll just have to deal with it.
deal with it.
Deal with it.
Oh, so this is what it's like to see everything like this. Oh, awesome! Okay.
So, yeah. So, since... No, we can't say actual names. Like, Snake, if Snake is already on my... he's probably still on my kiss about mentioning this name in that Rainbow Rex video. Somewhere, he's loading the sniper rifle just for me. But, yeah.